Dream with ambition. Lead with conviction. And see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before.
Welcome to the second part of our Women in Flight series, where we take a closer look at women's contribution to aviation history.
In part one, we looked at women's role in aviation up to the end of World War II. Now we continue the story with Jacky Cochran.
While there are many names that make up the story of women in aviation, Jacky Cochran's is special. Her story spans 4 decades.
In the 1930s, she was a champion racer, competing against Amelia Earhart. In the 1940s, she trained pilots during World War II, leading the Women's Air Force Service pilots.
Even after the war, she kept on going, just a little bit faster.
In the 50s, she became the first woman to break the sound barrier, and in the 1960s, she led the fight to get women into space.
In 1963, a woman did go into outer space. Valentina Tereshkova of the Soviet Union was the first woman in space. 17 years later, in 1980, Svetlana Savitskaya, also from the USSR, made the trip. Sally Ride from the USA followed in 1983.
By the end of 2020, 65 women have made the journey to space. Women's role in space exploration is not limited to going to space. Many women helped astronauts get there. Mathematicians, engineers, scientists all play a role in this space program.
Travel concourse, please meet your party at gate B3.
Back on Earth, things were moving pretty fast as well. Commercial aviation took off during the 70s and 80s, and thousands of flights were going in and out of airports every day. And women were there too, as pilots, flight attendants, air traffic controllers, mechanics, and much more.
Throughout history, the impact of women in aviation has evolved with the times. From biplanes to jets to rocket ships, women have shaped the history of flight. So what's next?
In order to better understand the opportunities available to the next generation of women aviators, we reached out to people both in aviation and space exploration. Say hello to Amelia Sewell. She's 8 years old and is already flying with her dad, and not just in a straight line.
Do you remember the first time you flew in a plane?
Yes, it was when I have 2 planes, a Comanche and a Christian Eagle, and I flew in the Christian Eagle when I was 4.
The Sewells are flyers. Tommy learned to fly from his dad and is now passing it on to his daughters.
My father taught me how to fly, like I'm teaching Amelia how to fly. My dad taught me everything I needed to know growing up, and so I'm just passing on this tradition to Amelia and the rest of the girls.
As parents of 3 girls who love flying, what do you all see as the future of women in aviation?
I see it expanding. I see it opening up more opportunities for women, the more women that get into aviation. Recently, we've gotten a lot more women interested, especially with, the girls seeing so many of our friends that are women in aviation.
Positive role models show how hard work and dedication can make dreams come true. While dreams may be the spark, success comes from hard work. There seems to be more to being a pilot than just flying a plane. What life lessons do you hope your girls learn from flying?
Well, they know never to give up, So, they've been taught from day one to keep pushing forward to achieve your goal. And, whether it's flying or anything else in life, they know they can't just give up. They got to keep pushing.
What would you tell other girls who want to fly?
If you wanted to fly, you can do anything and just keep following your dreams.
As we study the history of women in aviation, we need to look to the future to understand the hard work and dedication that makes dreams become reality.
For many young women, inspiration hits out of the blue. Victoria Doss is a high school senior.
Hi, my name is Victoria Das, and I am Seminole High School's aviation ambassador.
Nice to meet you, Victoria.
Nice to meet you.
What got you interested in flying?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, actually. When I was young, my parents took me to the library, and they had this expo on all these emergency services, and the police were there. They had the air ambulance, and I saw the helicopter with all its shiny lights, and the pilots were just standing and explaining their stories of how they saved people's lives, and I was like, I want to do that.
Awesome.
So, are there any organizations or people who helped you develop your love of flying?
Oh, so many. So I have to give credit to Young Eagles for allowing me to fly for free, doing a lot of discovery flights. And I was in many aviation explorers. So those allowed me to be in a group with people who loved aviation, shared as much passion as I did.
Programs like these give kids an opportunity to learn about aviation without having to own an airplane. Young Eagles offers free discovery flights, and Aviation Explorers is an organization that makes aviation accessible to everyone.
Groups like the 99s and Women in Aviation provide a community for women in flight. Each group helping aspiring aviators achieve their goals by opening up the world of aviation.
Piloting the aircraft is only one aspect of aviation. Engineering, design, technical services, and even a medical career are compatible with aviation.
Aviation is such a broad and diverse career field. There's just so much for you to do. There's literally something for everybody. Whether you want to be a mechanic, an engineer, a pilot, or how I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician, and now I ended up being an EMR helicopter pilot. That's my goal, and that is allowing me to fly and be passionate and also help people.
So whether flying a plane, working on it, or designing one, each aspect of aviation requires a set of skills with one thing in common: science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM.
Meet Michael and Thomas, an executive manager in the space industry and an advocate for women in STEM.
Hi, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Her research led to the creation of her website, spacedOutDoc.com. Its mission is to educate, motivate, and inspire.
So my doctoral research was really focused on the advancement of women, particularly in STEM executive management roles, and why there's so few of them. And I wanted to understand the why. What is causing this, and how can I be a part of the solution? How can I fix that? And that's where I came up with Spaced Out Doc, because that's, again, a community where women can ask some of these questions, how to navigate some things that they may be experiencing as it relates to barriers, and how can we remove the barriers together through community.
While there are many roads open to women, we face unique challenges at school and in the workplace.
Can you tell us about any challenges that you faced pursuing a career in aviation?
Definitely being a little intimidated at the fact that it's a male-dominated career. So a lot of the classes I had when I was in middle school and still in high school, there was literally no girls. So I found myself being ostracized because I was the only girl, and I was like surrounded by all these boys, and just I'm trying my best to not be intimidated by the fact that when I do get older, it's the same thing. I'm going to be surrounded by men, and I'm not going to have as many women to speak to or collaborate with.
Being a part of a community is so important. It's hard to go it alone. From the classroom to the boardroom, women are giving a hand up and making an impact for the next generation.
When I first started in this industry, I noticed that there weren't really many people who looked like me, or who were around my age, or who were female. And it was kind of concerning. So as I started really climbing into the leadership roles, there were even fewer people that were women, people of color, or of my generation. And so that's what really inspired my research.
Dr. Thomas's research focuses on increasing diversity in the space industry. Space is hard, so you need the best person for the job.
The biggest thing that we don't want to do is to miss out on top talent. because top talent, if you miss out on them, how can you create really cool space things or aerospace things?
So as we see, women are an important part of aviation's past, its present, and future.
The Chinese philosopher Confucius said we need to study the past if we are to define the future.
How important do you think knowing about the history of women's role in exploration is to the next generation of women in space?
It's incredibly important. I wouldn't be in the position that I have today if it weren't for the women who trailblazed this incredible path for me. And to understand how they removed barriers for other women to break into the sector is incredible.
Knowing our history, working together, being brave, following our dreams, and working hard. The history of women in aviation teaches us that anything is possible if you set your mind to it.
So now we know, women continue to play a key role in aviation and space exploration.
Aviation isn't all about flying. There's opportunities in the air and on the ground.
There are organizations ready to help in so many ways.
Take the next steps. Follow your dreams. The ball's in your court.